everybody! Today's video is actually an exciting one because it's the most requested video on my channel and it's my ultimate guide on how to become an exchange student. For those who are wondering, how am I qualified, you ask? Well, let me tell you. I actually applied to be an exchange student back in 2018 and I actually made a whole video about it on my YouTube channel. If you guys want to watch it, I would highly encourage you guys to watch that video first before watching this video so that you get to see what I actually experienced and how my life was like as an exchange student. So yeah, go ahead and watch that and then come back right after. Hi, welcome back. I'm assuming that you guys watched the video. If you didn't, then that's alright, you can just watch that after this video. But I've been getting a lot of questions in the comment section and some people are even sending me DMs about how to be an exchange student, how much does it cost, where am I from, what school am I studying in. So if you guys are interested to know more, make sure you grab a snack, drinks, a pen, paper, because I feel like this video will be a long one. But I'll try my best to keep it short. Keep it straight to the point, but be as detailed as possible. So in this video, I'll be talking about the steps of application, applying for the right visa, what to pack when you go to Korea, first things to do, the total cost of the entire program, and some tips and tricks along the way. But before I start, make sure you guys subscribe to this channel if you want more content like this, and comment down below any other questions that I may have missed in this video, and I'll reply to you as soon as possible. I just want to put out a small disclaimer out there. Everything that I will be talking about today is all based from my experience as a college student here in the Philippines applying for an exchange program in Korea. So I'm not entirely sure if it's the same as like other countries, but this video is just meant to give you a guide and an idea of how to apply for an exchange program abroad. So I just want to put that out there. Alright, so just a little background so you guys know where I'm coming from. A lot of you guys have been asking, what school am I studying in? Where am I from? When did I apply for an exchange program? And all of that jazz. So I'm just gonna say a little backstory. So I actually am studying in Enrollment colleges here in the Philippines and I applied for the exchange program when I was a sophomore in college. My school was sending out emails saying that students could apply for an exchange program and study abroad for a whole semester, and I decided to take that chance and apply for it myself. I asked if there are any like requirements in order for me to be eligible to apply, and they mentioned that I had to be at least a sophomore in college and have a good running GPA. I'm not sure about the minimum, but I think it's just their way of choosing the best students to represent the school with a good reputation. So luckily enough, I was able to reach their standards and apply. So let's move on to the steps of application, or what are the steps that you guys need to take in order for you to start applying for the exchange program. So first thing that you guys should do is check if it's actually offered in your school. Obviously Enrollment, the school that I'm studying in, offers the program, and as far as I know, LaSalle, UP, and Our Lady of Fatima University in Antipolo are also doing the same thing. So I'm not sure about like the other schools like Ateneo, UST, San Beda, and all of the schools. So I think it's your part to check with your school if they actually offer an exchange program for their students. Perhaps you can go to your school's Office of Student Life or go to any offices that deals with international matters. Just ask if your school offers an exchange program for students and if they're partnered up with any schools abroad, because that's how the whole exchange program works. They are partnered with schools abroad so that they could just exchange students, I think, on a yearly basis. So once you figured out that your school is offering an exchange program, now is the time to look into the countries and schools that are available. So in my school, we had a choice of whether to go to Japan or South Korea. So I obviously made the choice to go to South Korea because that's when I did my research. You guys have to make sure that you research into the schools and countries that you are planning to apply for, because you want to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. If you guys don't mind, I actually have my laptop here because I wrote all of my notes down here because I knew that's going to be a very detailed video and I want to make sure that I don't miss out on anything that's important. So if you see me, keep looking down, then that's how you know that I'm reading my notes. Going back, the things that I researched on that you guys may consider are research about the campus. So if you're applying for the school in a certain country, then you have to make sure that you research into the campus itself. Is it convenient for you? Is it too big for you? Is it too small for you? And all of that. Research about the hotspots around the offering of classes. I think this is a very important part of your research because you have to make sure that it fits your course, and you have to make sure that the classes that you're planning to take abroad can be credited in your school. And the last thing that you guys want is when you go for an exchange program, you wouldn't want to delay your graduation. Other things that you guys should research on is the location, like what are the pros and cons, what are some fun things to do, what is the standard of living in that area, which leads us to the cost of living. You have to make sure that it fits, your budget, and you wouldn't want to go to, let's say, Korea. You wouldn't want to, apply for everything, and then once you arrive in Korea and you have to stay there for, let's say, 4 to 6 months, you realize that it's much more expensive expensive than you anticipated, or standard of living doesn't match yours. But out of everything that I listed down, don't limit yourself to only these things to research on. Go beyond it. Research more when you have the time. Research about the small things, the big things, and all of that. Make sure that you know everything about the place so that once you arrive, you already know what to expect. So once you've done your research and you already chose the country and school that you want to apply for, now is the time to fill out applications in your home institution. What I mean about home institution is basically your school that you're currently enrolled in here in the Philippines. Because we're going to be talking about two different schools in this video, so I want to make sure that I distinguish that well. Just to give you guys an idea of what the application form looks like, I had to fill out was obviously my personal information, which includes my name, gender, nationality, date of birth, email, your course in your school, all of that. And then you'd also have to check what school and country you're applying for. What semester are you applying for? So that could be probably spring or fall semester. If you're applying as a scholar, you're running GPA. And I also had to write an essay about what I plan to gain after a semester abroad. But then again, it's different per school. Some may have to fill out more, some have to fill out less. But again, this is just an idea of what you guys might expect to fill out when you apply in your school. Once you fill out this application form, your school is going to schedule your interviews. Based on my experience, I had to go through 2 interviews, but the friends that I've made abroad had to only go through 1. So the first interview is all about narrowing down all the interested students into probably 4 or 5 students so that they could pick out at the end. This is the time for you guys to make yourself shine, or it's your time to really highlight your best qualities and why you think you're the perfect fit, because the types of interview questions that they might possibly ask are why you want to participate in the exchange program, why you think you're a good fit to represent your school abroad, and what are the learnings that you will bring back after the exchange program. These are the questions that I was asked when I went for my first interview. Then again, it may be different from others, but the first interview is just a way for your school to see who are the best students to represent the school abroad. If you only have 1 interview and you pass that, then congratulations. But if you have 2 interviews like me, the second interview is all about scholarships. So since I applied for a scholarship when I went for the exchange program, I had to go for a second one. So they're most probably going to ask anything that's scholarship related. For example, why you deserve to be granted the scholarship. So make sure you guys get ready for that type of question, and be sure to really show your best qualities and to show your school why you deserve the scholarship or why you deserve to be in the exchange program in general. So since I applied for a scholarship, I also had to fill out another application form for that. Again, this is based from my experience, but what they did was they separated the application form for those who are not interested in applying for the scholarship and for those who are. So if you guys are interested to apply for a scholarship, you might possibly fill out 2 forms, 1 application form for the exchange program and 1 application form for the scholarship. But your school may potentially combine those 2 together and make you guys fill out 1 application form all in all. Just to give you an idea of what the application form might consist of, probably the same thing as your original application form for the exchange program, but the only thing that's going to be different is scholarship information. So for example, if you're a current scholar in your school, what is your family monthly income? Have you traveled before? And you guys also might possibly write 2 essays. So in my case, I had to write why do I need to apply as a global scholar? And as a global scholar, how will your experience contribute to the school's community? Alright, so after your interviews, all you guys have to do is wait and pray that you guys will get accepted. In my school, out of all of the students, they only had to pick 2 students per school to send out abroad. For example, if there was 1 school in Korea and 1 school in Japan, they'd send out 4 students in total, 2 students in Korea and 2 students in Japan. For those students who get accepted, then they would be contacted by the host school. Now what I mean about the host school is the school that you're planning to apply for in the exchange program. Once you guys get accepted, your host school will contact you through your email and they will send you another set of requirements for you guys to give out. So other requirements that they might ask you to give in is probably another application form in the host school's perspective. So you know how we filled out an application form in your home institution, you also have to fill out another application form for your host school so that both schools have your information. So just to give you an idea of what the application form for your host school might look like, is obviously your personal details, your passport details, any financial support, so may that be yourself, your parents, your guardian, or any other supporter, your Korean language proficiency, the dormitory that you are gonna stay in abroad. They also made me write 2 essays about my reason for applying for an exchange program and a personal statement. So that could be like who you are as a person, what are your best qualities and all that. I think the reason why they're making you write this is because since they can't personally interview you, I think this is their only way to get to know you. They also made us fill out if we're gonna apply for a Korean language course. So you may possibly put in what is your fluency in Korean, your topic level, what is your academic background, and your purpose for studying Korean. Again, this may vary per person and this may vary per school. They may have you fill out more information. They may make you fill out less. But this is based on what I had to fill out. Aside from the application form, you also have to send in a JPEG image of your photograph, which is a 3x4, recently taken, full face, color, and scan. You also have to send in a copy of your original academic transcript, which in other words is your transcript of records, a certificate of enrollment to certify that you are currently enrolled in your home institution, a letter of recommendation, and a copy of your passport, which is the page with your photo. Once you send out all of these requirements, you're gonna receive a certificate of admission, or in other words, a letter of acceptance from your host school after they review it. And once you receive this, then congratulations, you can apply for your visa now. There are different types of visas when you enter a country. That could be like a tourist visa, but since you're gonna be studying as a student abroad, then you're gonna be applying for a student visa. The visa that I had to apply for was a student visa, specifically a D26 visa. The requirements for that is an application form for this visa. Again, I'm just gonna review. So far, we had to fill out 4 application forms. First application form for the exchange program in your home institution, an application form for your scholarship if you're interested, another application form for your host school, and then another application form for your visa. But aside from the application form for your visa, you also have to show your original passport that should be valid for more than 6 months. Then you also have to send in 1 piece of passport size colored picture that should be attached to your application form for the visa, a photocopy of your passport bio page, which is I think the 2nd page, and then any original and copy of valid visas and arrival stamps to OECD member countries for the past 5 years. If you guys don't know what are the OECD member countries, then I could leave the link down below. Check if you guys visited any countries from there, and if you have an original valid visa or arrival stamps for that, then you guys have to present that too. Your Philippines original transcript of records, NSO birth certificate, financial supporting documents which include an original employment certificate of your parents, which should be issued within 30 days, an original bank certificate of your parents or of your own. So if you have your own bank account, then that could do, but they require you to show a minimum of 2,500 US dollars, which is equivalent to 125,000 pesos. The reason why the Korean embassy requires you to show a minimum of 2,500 US dollars or 125,000 pesos is that they want to make sure that whoever they're granting the student visa to could afford the standard of living in Korea. The last thing that they want is a student not being able to afford living in Korea and end up living in the country illegally. You're most likely going to be granted the visa if you could show a minimum of 125,000 pesos. Another financial supporting document that you guys have to show is a photocopy of your parents' ITR, which is the income tax return. You also have to present an original admission certificate from Korea, which is issued within 3 months, which I think is the certificate of acceptance, or that will be sent to you from your host school, a business permit of the university in Korea, which will be given by your host school, a recommendation letter issued from your home institution, and a health certificate for tuberculosis. I'm not sure why Korea requires you to get tested for tuberculosis, but since it was a requirement, I could list down all the hospitals that you guys could get tested for it. It costs around 700 to 800 pesos. Alright, so once you send in all of these requirements for your visa and you get accepted, congratulations, you can finally prepare for Korea. Okay, before I start listing down the things that you guys should pack, I had to do something different because I thought that whatever I brought would be smart on my end because it would save me a lot more money. But let's start with the basics. So obviously you guys are gonna bring clothes. Now since I went for a fall semester, I mostly brought winter clothes. So that included jackets, sweaters, pants, heat tech, and then I also brought in 2 pairs of shoes, which is rubber shoes, and my everyday shoes. And I also brought in slippers. My friend actually recommends to not bring too many clothes because you could always shop for them in Korea. Moving to electronics, you're also obviously gonna bring your phone, your laptop, a camera, cables, your chargers for all of your electronics, power bank, that's a really important one, an international adapter, and I also brought in an extension cord so that I could charge more than one thing at once. And then for toiletries, you guys are gonna have to bring your own skincare products, deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste, towels, or anything that's related to toiletries. But what I did, which is now the weird thing that I was talking about, I brought all of those things, but the thing is I brought 2 to 3 tubes of toothpaste, 3 bottles of shampoo, 4 bars of soap, and I also brought in other essentials like bed sheets, blankets, pillowcases, a pillow, hangers, powdered detergent, a lot of canned foods, pasta sauce, notebooks, pens, utensils, plates, Tupperware. I won't list them all so I could spare myself the embarrassment, but you can imagine me bringing everything in my home with me to Korea. The reason why I did this is because I thought that it would save me a lot of money so that I wouldn't have to buy all of these essentials in Korea. And I could use that money to spend for other things like shopping, leisure, entertainment, travel. So if you guys want to do the same, it saves you a lot of money. Bring your own bed sheets, bring your own pillow. The only downside is that you have to pay for more baggage for your flight. But if you were to compare buying all your essentials in Korea that might potentially be more expensive and paying for more baggage, buying your essentials in Korea will be much more expensive. But if you guys are not planning to do that, my friends recommend you guys to just buy all your essentials from Daiso. Daiso in Korea is just something else. It's like they offer so many products, from kitchen essentials to home essentials, from food, clothes, and bathroom and all of that. So if you guys are planning to still save costs, but you don't want to bring your essentials from home here in the Philippines, then you can buy all of it from Daiso itself. They also recommend that if you're planning to buy a lot of things and that you want to bring back home here in the Philippines, then you guys should consider Korea Post so that it would save you the hassle later on in the future. Alright, so the next thing that I want to talk about when you prepare for Korea is how much money to bring. Initially, I brought 2 of those currencies. I brought pesos and I brought Korean won. I brought around 10,000 pesos in cash and around 100, how much? I brought around 120,000 Korean won, which is equivalent to 5,000 pesos. But I would recommend to hold both just in case, so that if you're hungry when you arrive in Korea, you could pay for the food using your Korean won. And if your Korean won isn't enough, you can use your pesos, exchange it to Korean won. You can bring less, you can bring more, but it's really dependent on you. So the next thing that we really want to talk about is the first things to do when you arrive in Korea. So you packed all of your things, you exchange your money. Now it's time to talk about what to do when you first land in Korea. And I listed down 3 things. One is actually recommended by my friend. She recommends to get a SIM card and Wi-Fi as soon as possible, but that's obviously optional. I personally didn't purchase a SIM card or a pocket Wi-Fi because in Korea, Wi-Fi is accessible everywhere. So you wouldn't have to worry about calling because you could use apps that offer those services like Facebook Messenger. They offer like video calls, phone calls. You can even message them. All you need is Wi-Fi, and which is a good thing because Wi-Fi can be found anywhere. Another thing to get is T-Money. Now, if you guys don't know what T-Money is basically like a beep card here in the Philippines. T-Money is basically a card where you could pay for transportation. You could pay for buses and subways using your T-Money. In Korea, you can find T-Money in any convenience stores like CU, GS25, or 7-Eleven, and it only costs you around 2,500 Korean won, which is around 100 pesos. Another thing that you guys should do is download the following apps. You can download Kakao T, which is basically the Uber and Grab of Korea. Kakao Messenger. A lot of the communication will be done through this app because the thing about Korea is that Kakao is everything to them. Kakao is like the monopoly if you think about it. They have, like I mentioned, Kakao T for transportation. They have Kakao Messenger. They have Kakao Metro, which I also recommend you guys to download, which is an app for the subway so that you guys know what line to take, or where's the nearest station and all of that. And then you guys also should download Naver Maps, which is really good for bus routes. Another thing about Korea is that their public transit is so convenient. It's not like here in the Philippines. Public transit in Korea, it's so convenient to the point where I would go back to Korea just so that I could use their transportation. Everything is connected, everything is nearby. You could take a bus going to another part of Korea by only tapping once with your T-money. God, I can't emphasize it enough. I love the public transit in Korea. You wouldn't have to pay for taxis, you wouldn't have to pay for Ubers or all of that. You could just use public transit because I'm telling you, it is so convenient. And another thing that you guys should download is a currency converter app, just so that you guys can compare prices here in the Philippines and there in Korea. But I wouldn't recommend you guys to get used to it. I would only recommend it during the first few weeks in Korea, because sometimes when you keep comparing prices with Korea and Philippines, you might think that the Korean products are much more cheaper in the Philippines, but in reality in Korea it's expensive, so you can get it for a lower price. I think that's just a way for you guys to see what are like the standard rates per product. You also have to download Google Maps so that you can navigate yourselves when you walk around, and download Google Translate. In Korea, they only speak Korean. Even if you speak to them in English, they will respond to you back in Korean. So having Google Translate on your phone is perfect, because you could just type down in English and then you just show it to them and then they'll just read it in the Korean version. Now let's talk about the cost. The number one thing that everyone asks me is, how much did the entire program cost? Before I say how much mine was, I just want to point out another disclaimer that it may be different per person. Some may have to spend more, some may have to spend less, but I had to spend a total of 400,000 pesos. Now it seems big, but not a lot of students have to pay as much as I did, because the total cost is calculated by adding up the tuition fee, the visa application, your transcript of record, your certificate of enrollment, your dormitory fees, your monthly allowances, and your flight. So obviously it's not going to be the same for everyone, but just to give an idea, I had to spend 400,000 pesos. Let's talk about the first one, so you guys won't panic like, oh my gosh, it's 400,000 pesos, I can't afford, that's too much. Now the tuition fee that you're gonna pay is basically 50% of the total cost, because the tuition fee is basically how much you're gonna pay in order for you to enroll in the school abroad. Depending on what school you're enrolled here in the Philippines, that is the tuition fee that you're gonna pay. So let's say if you're studying in LaSalle, the average tuition fee is around 60,000 pesos. So for your tuition fee, all you have to pay is 60,000 pesos. But since I study in Enrollment, I had to pay 180,000 pesos. Again, this may be dependent on which school you're enrolled in and how much tuition fee you have to pay. The second part of your total cost is your visa application, which costs you around 2,700 pesos. Again, it may be different per person. Your transcript of records and certificate of enrollment. I'm not sure if other schools require you guys to pay in order for you guys to process your transcript of records and your certificate of enrollment, but in Enderon, in my school, I had to pay for it, so I had to pay around 1,600. I also had to pay for my flight, which is around 9,000 pesos. Again, this may vary per person, depending on when you book your tickets. What my friend and I did is that we booked our tickets at 3 a.m. just to avoid peak hours and get cheaper rates. So if you guys want to get a cheap rate for your flight, then I would recommend you guys to avoid peak hours and book your ticket early morning, like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And then you also have to pay for your dorm. I had to pay around 33,000 pesos, but that's already good enough for 6 months. So it's a one-time payment. All you have to do is give them the payment for the dorm. That's already done. That means you could stay in the dorm for 6 months. And that includes like a bed, a work table, a heater during the cold season, an air conditioner for the hotter season, a mini fridge, heated water for showers, but no pillows and blankets are provided. That's why I brought my own. You see where it comes? You wouldn't have to pay for blankets and bed sheets in Korea. You could just bring it from home. Another thing to pay for is your medical test, which I mentioned is around 700 to 800 pesos, and then your monthly allowance. Now again, this is another thing to point out, this may vary per person, but in order for you guys to live comfortably in Korea, my friends and I would recommend 35 to 40,000 pesos per month. That monthly allowance of 35 to 40,000 pesos will cover your food expenses, which include your groceries and dining in, entertainment, which include shopping, leisure, and if you're of age, clubs, personal expenses like buying essentials and necessities, travel expenses, which means like going to different parts of Korea, your transportation cost, which mainly is your T-money, so that you could keep loading up and all of that. Now, if you guys are wondering how I was able to manage my finances during my stay in Korea, I actually downloaded a Google Sheet so that I could just record all of my expenses. Like, for example, if I bought food, I would deduct that amount with my allowance. But you don't have to necessarily use Google Sheets. You can also download like other apps that my friends use, like Moneyfi and Fortune City. But a best way to budget your finances during your stay is to allot weekly allowances from your monthly. So for example, if your monthly allowance is 40,000 pesos, then you would have to split it into 4 weeks, which means that each week you can only spend around 10,000 pesos so that you wouldn't have to overspend and end up being broke. So if you guys are interested in budgeting your finances, even here in the Philippines, then my friend Courtney, she was kind enough to make a spreadsheet for you guys to download. I will leave the links down below so you guys could take advantage of that and start listing down your expenses. And then if you guys are wondering how I got my allowance, some of my friends got their allowance all at once. So like before she left the Philippines, she got all of her allowance for the entire stay in Korea. Some of my friends also got their allowance initially, and then once that runs out, she would just ask for more. But in my case, I got my allowance every month. In order for you guys to do that, then I would recommend you guys to turn your bank ATM card available for international use. All you have to do is just go to your bank, ask the bank to make sure that your card could be used for international use, and then they'll do the rest. But the downside about this is that since you're gonna have your allowance every month, then that means you have to withdraw. Since your card is not from Korea, then you would have to pay a transaction fee around 200 pesos per withdrawal. So if you guys are planning to do that, then I would recommend withdrawing only once a month and open your own Korean bank account. My friends and I actually opened our own Korean bank accounts because it was so convenient for us to use everything that you could pay for in Korea could be paid using your card without paying a transaction fee. Let's say you don't have a bank account in Korea and you're always carrying your cash. What if you lose your wallet? You could potentially lose all your money without making it back. But if you have your own Korean bank account, all of your money is saved even if you lose your wallet. All you have to do is just call the bank, tell them to cut all lines, and then whoever's gonna try to use your card, they can't use it because you already cut it. The last thing that I want to talk about is, some tips and advice that I would like to give to you. If you guys haven't realized, throughout this whole video, I've been giving out like small tips and small advice for you guys to make the most out of your stay or to be more efficient when you gather your requirements. But I also had to ask my friends, who I'm so thankful for because they were able to give me some ideas. And the two things that I really want to mention is she recommends to bring medicine. Now that's the one mistake that I actually made because I didn't take into account the change of seasons, because here in the Philippines we're always so used to being in the hot weather. But since I went for a fall semester, my body didn't know how to react to the colder season. I had a lot of colds, coughs, I even had food poisoning. So one thing that my friend recommends is to bring medicine. So some basic medicines to bring are Biogesic, Neozeb, Imodium, antihistamine, and any other vitamins. I'm not sure if I pronounced it properly, but you're just gonna see a list over here. So aside from bringing medicine, she also recommends to make a list of all of the places that you guys want to visit and plan it out as soon as possible or as early as possible so that you guys could budget it properly. That's one thing that my friends and I did. We made a list of the places that we want to visit, and we started planning out early on. We made a whole calendar and they were like, okay, in 2 weeks time we're going in this place, and we put it in our calendar. It's a good way as well because if you plan it out early, then you could start saving it up at the beginning, and then by the time that you have to leave for the trip, then you already have enough money that you've saved up and use that money to spend in that trip. Did that make sense? Okay, so that ends it all. I hope I was detailed as possible, and I hope this video is informational for you guys and it gave you an idea of how it's like to apply for an exchange program in Korea. If I missed out on anything, please comment down below any other questions that you guys may have. I usually reply to all of my comments, so you're most probably gonna get a reply from me, and I would love to help you guys out, help you guys also experience the things that I experienced, because I'm telling you, it is one of the best experiences that I have ever had in my entire life. It's one of the best moments that I would always tell a story about. I loved every single second of it. So if you guys didn't watch my life as an exchange student in Korea, I'll just leave a link down below, or the recommended videos at the end of this. Sorry for the inconsistent lighting here. The sun keeps coming up, it keeps hiding. But like this video if you are interested in becoming an exchange student. If you guys didn't watch my previous video, I will leave a link here as well. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Stay safe. Bye!